Excitement would be an understatement for this Lakers Warrior. Well, actually, it would be an understatement for the whole playoffs as in its entirety to start. I'm not even gonna lie. Before I fully get into the video, I'm gonna just apologize now. I might sound a little bit different. I've been under the weather. I'm getting over a bit of a cold, so bear with me if you hear me sound nasally at any point in this video. I can't breathe, bro. Chill out on me. But the Golden State Warriors have beaten the Kings in 7 games. A lot of people were surprised about them winning in Sacramento, but as I said in my playoff predictions video, I trusted Golden State to win at least 2 times in Sacramento more than I trusted Sacramento to win in Golden State. Obviously, Golden State had the worst away record in the league, so that was kind of a weird, I guess you would say. But again, they're a championship team. They're coming off of a championship. And I tend to trust teams like that more than I trust a young team that hasn't been in the playoffs since 06-07. The Kings did give them a run for their money. However, it was tough for the Warriors getting through the first round. So the Lakers did have a little bit of a rest after beating the hell out of Memphis this past Friday, I believe it was, by 40. As we all know, for the Lakers, rest is always key. It's always important because we do have 2 guys who, one is almost 40, so some of his injuries take a little bit longer to come back than they would have in the past. And we got street clothes AD also on our sideline, and his situation goes without explanation. In the regular season series, the Lakers have won that 3-1. However, I believe 2 or 3 of those games Steph did not play. The most recent game that we played them, Steph and LeBron didn't play, but AD had a phenomenal game, a game in which Kevon Looney didn't seem to have an answer for him, and I think that's going to be the key in this series because we saw in Game 7, Kevon Looney did an amazing job against Domantas Sabonis. Matter of fact, he did an amazing job all series. Domas wasn't who he normally is on the offensive end, especially in Game 7. We saw Kevon Looney really getting after it. He had a plethora of offensive boards, and he really just wanted it more than Domas. Now, if we could get an AD that was more focused, more like the Game 7 AD that we saw against Memphis, it's going to be a long series for Kevon Looney and the Warriors. The Warriors are a very small team with Draymond and Looney being their bigs. Their next big after that is pretty much Kuminga, who I wouldn't even really consider a big. Sometimes they have Wiggins out there as the biggest guy on the floor. I wouldn't call him the 5, but you get the point. The team's not the biggest team out there. So that's where AD is going to have to come in and step into a role that we were asking him to step into in the Memphis series. It's a shame that it took so long for AD to really get it going. He did have a couple of okay to good games, but the fact that Brandon Clark and Steven Adams were out, we expected AD to really take this series over. Every single game, there was a different leading scorer each game for the Lakers, which it helps the Lakers because that means if AD or LeBron don't have it going, there's other guys that are there to supplement that effort. We saw Rui Hachimura have an amazing game 1. We saw Austin Reeves have an amazing game 1 and a pretty good game 3. D'Lo had an amazing game 7. Now, if the Lakers supporting cast can continue to play this way, even on top of guys like AD and LeBron doing what they do on a normal basis, and I mean playing well, playing at an elite level, the Lakers quite literally become one of the best teams in the West very quickly. Now, on the Warriors end of things, you still have the X factor in Wiggins, who's a do-it-all guy, most athletic guy. The only person I can really see trying to guard him is Vanderbilt. I don't think we're going to have Vando guard Clay or Steph, strictly because we wouldn't really have anyone for Wiggins in that matter. So we would have Vando guarding him while we have Austin Reeves guarding Clay. And at the 1, I would normally have D'Lo starting, but in this instance, you're going to need defense. And I think Darvin Ham should go more Dennis Schroeder in this case. Obviously, give D'Lo his regular minutes, but don't give him minutes when Steph is on the floor so that Dennis Schroeder can match Steph's minutes and make sure he's doing the job on Steph defensively that the Lakers need him to do, because D'Lo's motor doesn't run so high on the defensive end, and that it's not even a matter of if, it will cause trouble for the Lakers going forward. Now, after the early part of the Sacramento Golden State series, we didn't really see too much of Kuminga, but I will say the Warriors did see a lot more success when they ran a lineup of Steph, Poole, Clay, Wiggins, and Draymond. Sometimes they didn't even have Draymond in that lineup. I saw some moments they had DiVincenzo in that place where they have 4 guards and 1 big. Honestly, I think we're going to see that a lot more with the Warriors in this series, especially because the Lakers have a lot of bigger guys who aren't super athletic, but we have a lot of guys like AD that we don't want him missing minutes on the floor. He's going to be on the floor no matter what. We have guys like Hachimura who's going to get those rotational minutes, and we also have guys like Wenyen Gabriel that we start to see on the later half of the Memphis series. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see too much of Wenyen Gabriel, but my overarching point is that we have a lot of big guys, whereas Golden State can play a lot of small ball and they can outskill us and, you know, shoot us to death. But it all comes down to our defense, and the Lakers are one of the better defensive teams. They've shown that since the trade deadline, and they've actually been top 5 in defense since the trade deadline. Overall, the Lakers are going to need to rely on a lot of their rotational pieces to actually be able to come out of this on the winning end of it. It's going to be a tough series for the Lakers because the Warriors are a team that they could get shots up, shots in bunches, and just go on a crazy heater of a run. Whereas the Lakers, they like to run and get out in space, but when the Lakers are missing shots, that also enables the other team to be able to get out in space and, you know, try to get out in transition. And getting out in transition against the Lakers, that's bad for us against a team that is a great 3-point shooting team. Memphis wasn't the best 3-point shooting team, so even when they were running the floor with us, they weren't really making as many shots as the Lakers were, hence why we beat them so handedly. To start the series off, the Lakers are going to need Anthony Davis to put a stamp down, put his foot down, show who he really is. He's really going to need to come up big from the first game of the series on Tuesday. And past him, we're going to need D'Lo to be more like the Game 7 D'Lo. He's started to find more of a rhythm. You could tell he's more concise in his decision making. Early in the Memphis series, when I saw D'Lo, he would have some space to shoot an open jumper. Oftentimes, you could tell he was in between. He wasn't sure if he would shoot it because he's not in rhythm, or he wasn't sure if he should make the pass, and by the time he made a decision, it was either a turnover or he airballed it because he's overthinking the decision. And in Game 7, we saw a D'Lo that is more like the D'Lo we're used to seeing during the year, the D'Lo that we saw when we first traded for him from the Timberwolves. And that's what we're going to need throughout this whole series if we're going to actually compete with the Warriors. The biggest part to that is the fact that he's not the best defender, so we're going to need his offensive output to not match, because he can't match what Steph can put out, but at least bring to the table something close to what he brought in Game 7, both facilitating and shooting the ball very well. Now, last time we played the Warriors on March 5th, Anthony Davis had a monster game. He almost had a 40-piece, scoring 39 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and he shot 56% from the field. It was one of those games where you could tell start to finish, it was his game. You could tell it was, you know, his night to cook, and that the Lakers were going to come out of that with the win. And I remember this night and watching this game, it was a big win for the Lakers to move them up a little bit in the standings. Obviously, the Lakers lost to the Clippers, which kind of hurt them a little bit more. But either way, that same sense of urgency that Anthony Davis had in that game is the kind of urgency that we're going to need to see from him in this series. Now, for the Warriors to win, they're going to need to control the Lakers going in transition. The Lakers love going in transition, and if I'm not mistaken, they were top 5 in pace this year. And when the Lakers do go in transition a lot, they get stops on defense, they turn that defense into offense. That's when we've seen the Lakers at the best. So the Warriors, they're going to need to have a sound half-court offense, make sure they're not making some of the same mistakes that they were making against Sacramento, because those are the same kind of plays that the Lakers, they actually capitalize on. They're a great transition team. They're great on the fast break, and those are some of the things that the Warriors, they can't afford. That's where a guy like Jordan Poole comes into play in this situation. Jordan Poole, he can't be as inefficient as he was against the Kings. He can't be turnover prone. He essentially can't be the guy that he was against the Kings, because he was a shell of himself, and it didn't help the Warriors, and it actually made that series a lot more difficult than what it needed to be, because he wasn't contributing what they need him to contribute. Now, if he could do that against the Lakers, which doesn't have the best backcourt in terms of defense, we do have length to put on Jordan Poole, like a Troy Brown, a Lonnie Walker, you know, guys like that, but we don't have, you know, lockdown defenders on this team. So Jordan Poole is going to need to take advantage of that, which makes him an X factor in this series, because if he plays poorly in this series, then I think the Lakers have too high of an IQ to let that go unnoticed, or to let the Warriors slide by with, Jordan Poole having the blunders that he's having. And the reason I say that is because he's their main scorer off the bench. If you're not getting scoring contribution off the bench the same way that the Lakers have been, it's gonna be a long road ahead. And we saw that against the Grizzlies. We saw that with, the first 3 games or so. We saw a lot of bench production from the Lakers, and if the Warriors can't match that, it's gonna be tough. Now, I'm not saying they can't match it, because they're defending champs. Regardless, I personally think that this whole series, as any series, is gonna be a chess match, but I think it's going to come down to coaching. And as sad as it is to say, I trust Steve Kerr more than I trust Darvin Ham. If you guys saw my Western Conference predictions video, I chose the Warriors in this series, and it mostly came down to that fact. I trust Steve Kerr's coaching ability more than I trust Darvin Ham. Sure, you have LeBron, high IQ, and that does count for something. However, coaching wins and loses games. Now, if Anthony Davis can dominate from the beginning to the end of the series and show Kevon Looney that there's levels to being a big, then the Lakers will come out of this on top. But since we don't know what we're getting from AD on a night-to-night basis, it's very tough to count on that, and it's very hard to, look forward to that, because that's not something that is a regular occurrence to look forward to. This is going to be a great series above all else. We get to see LeBron and Steph battling in the Western Conference. The last time we saw that, they were for a play-in battle. It wasn't a full series, so this will be dope. Obviously, we know LeBron's a little bit older, but hopefully LeBron can cook up a little bit of that LeBron magic, so that this series could be what it has the potential to be. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. As always, is your boy TB with the greatest hoop stories and debates on the tube. And if you haven't subscribed already, because 90% of you that are watching right now are not subscribed, please do so. It helps the channel greatly. I appreciate you. And as always, I am out. Peace.